Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. One of those is Mike Rosman, co-founder, CEO of Bowfly, specialist in franchise financing. Mike, you told me once, what does Bowfly stand for?
Bob, we got the Bowfly out of the concept of BOE being Business Opportunity Exchange.
All right.
There's only a little bit more whimsical in indicating the speed that we work transactions through. So we adopted Bowfly and we've been stuck with it ever since.
No, it's a creative, well, good for you.
10 years in and people still ask us that question. I think we have to talk to our marketing department.
That's right. Well, very good, Mike. I appreciate you joining us. We're going to spend today about franchising. Plus, there's a lot of notices from SBA. Joseph's out. He's en route to Texas. And I think we have both Lance and Joseph on tomorrow. But, Mike, we have you on once a month to talk about franchising. So let's go to the first poll question. Number one, do you plan on increasing your franchise lending in fiscal year 22? We're already talking about 22. Jeez.
22. It's fast upon us, Bob.
Notice I left it open. I'm not asking 78504. I'm just conventional. I'm just leaving it open. What do you think, Mike?
I'm glad to see the growth number. I think we need to work on those I don't knows because from our experience, one of the things that we're consistently seeing is franchising is a very compelling way for a bank to increase their origination. And not just on SBA. The majority of the loans that we place are SBA. We do a lot of startup transactions or second, third unit transactions. SBA fits great for.
Right.
But even as these borrowers grow and mature, they can fit beautifully into a bank's conventional products as well.
Giving a plug for my product, we do the franchise analysis every year, and franchises, not a lot, but they perform. How much better than a mom and pop? What would you say? 10%? Is that maybe a little bit more?
The fact is, when you look at a Jimmy John's, which are some of the transactions you'd see on Bowfly, or for that matter, a Tint World, which is a fairly new concept, about 100 units. What we know is that there's a historical track record. Lenders understand how to underwrite a historical track record. And you give me a startup Jimmy John's, and it's not a pure startup like a mom and pop sub shop would be. There are, hundreds and hundreds of units that are open that the lender can go ahead and tap into. And we use your data consistently, Bob, as a way to understand what the performance is.
What are the hot franchises right now?
You give me a drive-through and it's doing fantastic. We have a client, Checkers and Rallies,
sure.
And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Their sales, at least the units that we've seen, they're up 25% year over year.
Nice.
And so, those are very strong brands. If they have a drive-through, if they've figured out the model of how to get folks their food in a distant manner, they're doing great.
Mike, we're talking a lot about two issues. Number one is employee acquisition, also supply chain. How are those affecting those brands?
So I mentioned, Bob, I was out at a conference this past week in Cedar, and it was focused on multi-unit operators. So these are individuals that own more than one franchise location, and very often they own dozens. And these guys are struggling. They're consistently struggling on hiring and retaining staff. And you're hearing creative solutions like paying people every day, because if you drive for Uber or DoorDash, they're getting paid the moment they go ahead and get paid by the.
Give them your phone and zap, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And whereas historically you'd have to wait 2 weeks to get paid if you work at a restaurant. So you're seeing more creative solutions, but it is definitely a headwind that the operators are having. However, the profitability is still up because, I heard a number that they could hire another 20% more employees. While they don't have those employees, people are working twice as hard, but they are generating a lot of profit.
Are you seeing wages being pushed up in these franchises?
We're seeing a little bit of it. We're seeing, we expect to see more of it. And they're very much paying attention to the $15 minimum wage. That's obviously, it comes into discussion at the state level, and it's historically come in at the federal level as well, at least in discussion. But we expect if they're going to go ahead and solve this hiring issue, they're going to have to pay more.
Automation.
continues to be a headline issue. The larger franchise brands who have been able to make that investment to help their franchisees solve that problem. Again, you go down to a large franchise system, 300, 400, 500 units, they're going to crack that puzzle on automation, or even just the mobile ordering, DoorDash and Uber Eats. They're getting better deals for their franchisees than you would if you were a single operator.
One of the things we like about multi-unit, and this is where you can use 7A, but you can also use rural, USDA, B&I. Their number one industry niche, last I checked the stats, now it's a couple years old, were hotels, hospitality. So you could have a borrower do a 504, then also do a USDA B&I as well, separately. So you're able to take care of some of these multi-operators.
Yep.
Number two, what industry has the strongest franchisor support? Let you mull that over, Mike, see what the response is, and let you weigh in, because the answer is...
I've got a couple franchisors that would certainly advocate for various answers on this one.
Well, of course, that's why it's a wide open question. Well, I want to see what... First of all, what we think. Restaurant, I have no issue with that. Hotels, what do you think, Mike? How would you respond to that question?
Yeah, I think, given the operational rigor that goes into running a restaurant, I think the answer is accurate. I think we're seeing restaurants deliver more support because there's a lot of complexity in a restaurant. Don't ever forget that. And particularly the transition that we saw during COVID towards mobile ordering, you needed a lot of support. So the franchisors do support significantly on the restaurant side. But I'll also say on the contracting home repair side, if you think about bringing out a California Closets to your house or a CertaPro, there's a lot of training that goes into supporting those franchisees, and lenders can take comfort in knowing that support is in place.
You and I have been around for a while. My evaluation of franchises, they've really grown up. In the past, they just wanted to sell units and they didn't really care. Now they are truly providing services to make these people succeed.
Well, just on that, Bob, the joke was, and you've heard this on the credit side throughout the years, if you can fog a mirror. And there were certainly some franchisors that said, if you can fog a mirror, we're going to sell you a brand. What I have to say is that when we work with a franchisor, one of the core ways we work, and this is very important for lenders, is the franchisor is engaging BoeFly to diligence their applicant, to look at liquidity, net worth, criminal, and credit. They will not sell you a franchise unless they have a clear sense of your financial wherewithal, your credit history, and your criminal background. And that level of diligence, we did it last quarter for 70 brands. We continue to grow on that front. And great brands like I mentioned before, Jimmy John's, Bojangles, Meineke, Mako, Arby's, those are great top brands. But we're also seeing it from startup brands, right? Scent Hound, which is currently a 15, 20 unit franchise concept growing out of Florida. Tint World, which is, I mentioned before, is a maybe about 100 unit franchise concept that's growing in the auto space. So, I would really encourage lenders to understand how a brand will vet their applicants as a way to gain confidence with your credit team.
Mike, I'm a executive out of Boeing. I've retired. I'm in Seattle. I now want to go a little bit warmer. I want to move to Arizona, warmer climate. I got some money sitting in my 401k. Can I get a franchise? Can I just walk up the door and say, here's a couple $100,000, put me in business?
So a restaurant concept is going to want to see some operating history, or they're going to want to see that you have a path to a partnership that has operating history. There are still franchises that you can get into today from that Boeing background without any operating history, and those franchisors will train you up to be successful. Again, you have to have the financial wherewithal, and you have to have a head on your shoulders. If you've been in management at Boeing, the franchisor understands that you understand how organizations work and how things get done, and they have confidence that they can train you for sure.
Great. We had a question, general question. It appears we're having issues with the FTA. Are you having issues with the FTA uploading 1112 payments to the new portal? I shouldn't say to the new portal. I should say to the new caretaker of the portal.
the new FTA themselves.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
We've included a couple of procedure notices that came out this morning. Please read those. Michael, let's go to a couple of those screenshots since I'll let you figure out where they are. There we go. This is one. The deadline has been moved to today. No, from today to Friday. So you have a couple days to be considered on time. Next slide, Michael. And they're talking about that, but I'm going to the next one. That's what I really want to talk about. No, there's one that says, if you have an issue, you can contact the SBA and they will work with you so you don't get dinged on that. So reach out to them. There's an email address. Michael, do you have that? Well, we have that in the notice. So there is ways to do that. There is a lender training today, open to all lenders at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, and they'll go through the system. If you're having issues, I would strongly encourage you to dial into that. That information is, I believe, also included in the dashboard. If not, you can Google it, and I understand now SBA has the capability to go ahead and host as many people as they wish. So SBA is aware of it. You're not alone, and they're working on it. Are you? Well, you're involved a little bit with that, Mike.
We keep our eyes on it. We actually have we've really shifted all of our concentration into helping lenders originate loans. So the secondary market aspect, although we understand the importance of the industry, we actually have fully put our efforts into origination.
Let's conclude with the franchise conversation. You were in Vegas last week. Give us an overview. First of all, how was it traveling? How was it attended? How were the health issues? And number two, what were the big hot topics relating to franchise lending?
Sure. So it's my first conference since COVID, and Bob, I've seen you out there 100 times. It's a little bit of a strange feeling walking around an exhibit hall with a mask on, and it took a little bit of getting used to. But it's Vegas, and people get
such a beautiful, handsome face. We got to.
Well, that is so kind of you to say. So but it turns out you're able to drop your mask when you have your cocktails, and you can still enjoy company. It was very well attended. There were more than 1,500, 2,000 people that were at this event.
What was the name of the show? Which show was this?
Well, the multi-unit franchise update media, top organization in the industry, very well run. From my perspective, what we saw, franchisors are investing in growth. They're seeing significant opportunities. Their profitability is up. They understand that they need to grow, and they grow by finding new franchisees, and those multi-unit operators are where they want to be.
Talk to me about hospitality. What's going on with that niche?
We didn't see a lot of hotels out there, and it was I think quiet on that front. I think there were some representatives from AHOA that were there, if I'm not mistaken. They're pretty tied in. I think there's a recognition that travel has been coming back on the family front, less so on the business front. But it's something that I think that's you're going to see a little bit more time for that industry segment to come back. But I think there's a recognition that it's not going away.
I talked to some lenders who refused to touch a startup construction or a construction hotel. Would you go that conservative? What would you advise? What would you advise lenders on construction of a Marriott nice flag?
Look, I understand why lenders hit the pause button.
Oh, we all do.
We all do, and I think with the right operator, with the right financial position, and the right business plan, it's going to be time to get back into it. And so I think you're going to see lenders moving forward in that area, just like we have on the traditional franchise side, the operation side, restaurant and automotive. There were lenders who have hit the pause button pretty hard, and there's other lenders who are grabbing market share.
What are you seeing in the value of the keys? Keys are the value per room valuation. How are hospitality values looking today?
I don't track it terribly closely, but I will say that we know that there's been a significant pullback, and again, it's fully expected.
When do we anticipate that sector to come back pre-COVID?
I've heard numbers. I've heard business travel as long as a 5-year window, which feels too long for my taste. Again, I was at this event and there were 2,000 people there, all staying in hotels. I assure you, those 2,000 people are going to be more comfortable to go to the next conference. And for those people who aren't going to conferences, we get it. But those businesses that are, they're going to be grabbing share. Well, I know they are.
How many people did this conference attract pre-COVID? Do you know?
I think they were. I think they said they were getting pretty close to their numbers. I met with International Franchise Association while we were there, and they're expecting it to come to basically be right at their pre-COVID numbers for their annual convention coming up in February.
So we got time, and let's go through the other two niches that we have. Gyms, massage. What's your take on those? Gyms.
Say it again.
Fitness centers and massage.
Yeah, fitness again. I think you're still seeing some closures out there or some restrictions in terms of mask wearing. We continue to like it. I genuinely like the space going forward. It's a question of where you are geographically. And to get back into it, I have to say on the massage concept, we've got clients who their sales are up, right? So, they're doing well. I think there's a recognition that this isn't just a passing fad. If you have a membership to a Hand and Stone, you need it. You need it for your own wellness. And their sales they're actually doing very well. So I like that space. I like the Hand and Stone in particular. But certainly Massage Envy and others, they're doing well. I think on the franchise sales side, they're continuing to grow and they need capital. And so if the lenders are out there and they have the opportunity, I would recommend you take a close look at it.
Do you see any geographical bias or geographical hotspots?
Yeah, again, so there are areas in certain areas in California where there's been longer closures or more mask mandates that have slowed down some of the consumer uptake of those services like fitness. But I think on the overall growth standpoint, the brands understand those rules and they're helping their franchisees guide through them, and we're seeing their sales consistently grow across the country.
Yeah, very good. And finally, contracting home repair, I assume going through the roof. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, again, people have put their
it's like fun. Come on.
Yeah, no, I try to let it slide by, Bob, for your benefit and mine. The consumer had stimulus in their pocket and they were putting it in their home. And so we saw services that did exceedingly well during COVID. We've got a client who's in the dumpster rental business. They've done exceedingly well. The mosquito remediation businesses have done well.
What are the big contracting franchise concepts?
Yeah, so you're seeing more and more get into this. So there's some large concepts where they've consolidated other brands. So one of our, we've known a brand or set of brands for a long time called Buzz Brands. They own Mosquito Joe. They own a home cleaning service. They own a pool maintenance business. And what that master brand, if you will, knows is how to help a franchisee be successful, how they market, how they onboard a new customer, how they use digital to serve that customer better, and how to cross-sell. So if you're using the mosquito remediation, why aren't you using their pool maintenance business? Because I know you have a pool. Those businesses are doing really well. And although it's a smaller investment, $150,000, $200,000, we're seeing lenders take a closer look at that.
Awesome. Mike, I love your updates on franchise. That's great. These are stay safe, and hopefully our paths will cross. It's been, 2 years almost?
It's been a long time, and looking forward to seeing you out there, Bob.
Let's see. We have a webinar in a half an hour. If you want to still do that, just shoot me an email with Marty Techler. We're going to talk about SBICs. You saw our other offerings as well. Mike, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Thanks, Bob.